What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another Tottenham update. A few bits and pieces to get through today, but before we do, go over to our website, WeAreTottenhamTV.com, where you get our latest articles and merchandise as well. And as well as that, we're on all podcasting platforms as well, such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts still to come. But yeah, go and join us and catch all our audio on all our audio platforms. But let's get into the Tottenham update. We're going to start off with these comments from Sergio Reguilon, which I found quite interesting. He seems very disappointed with the way things worked out at Tottenham in the summer. He said, during pre-season, I was very happy and he was happy with me, as were the staff. I was playing like a normal player all the games. The week before I went to see him, you want me at the club? Yes, I have to do a list and you are in my squad. It was strange. The next day I was out of training and I didn't know what happened. I know I can play for Spurs, but in many aspects in football, the player doesn't have control, and I don't want to stay and sit in the stadium watching. I'm 27. I have too much football to live. I don't understand why one day yes and the next day no. But I don't think it was a performance reason. I think it was another reason. This is football. This is a business. What do you make out of that?
I do think that's quite interesting, the fact that Ange told him he was going to be in the squad, which I actually thought he didn't look terrible in pre-season, if I remember. Obviously, he played against West Ham, I think, and then and another pre-season game Sorry?
I kind of do remember that Barcelona game, him getting eaten alive by Yamal. Do you remember Yamal just ate him alive that game?
Yeah.
And it was like this 16-year-old that nobody had heard of at that stage had come on and just completely ripped him a new one.
Yeah, okay, so he struggled in that game a bit, but like I don't know if it was just based on that they decided, okay, he's not going to play anymore. Like, I don't think he was great in pre-season, but I think that he showed flashes of like what he can do. I wonder if it was just a case of we needed to get rid of foreign players at the time, and maybe he thought initially, actually, I want you because you're going to be back up to Doggy, and you're going to be my backup left back. Then he realised, oh wait, we need to get rid of some foreign players, and he's kind of on that. And maybe we're not getting interest in other players, and he's on getting some interest, from Man United or whatnot on loan. So we decided to get rid of him instead. But obviously, once the season started, he wasn't involved at all. So I can understand his disappointment. That's not like Ange, though. If he, you associate Ange with someone who's very straight talking. If he's not going to be involved, he would have told him straight away. So the fact that Reguilon is saying he was told one day he was in the squad, the next day he wasn't training with the team anymore, that's quite peculiar, and that's not something I associate with Ange.
Yeah, it is a strange one, this whole thing, to be honest. The situation probably was more in line with what you're saying in terms of the foreign quota. Maybe there's another player that they were planning to get out the door and they didn't get him out the door, and Sergio Reguilon had the most interest out of everyone. We ended up loaning him to Manchester United at the end of the day, and I think that's the thing that didn't sit right with me. Like, why loan him out to Man United? Why help a rival? It didn't make any sense at the time, but maybe we were just so desperate to get him out. Just any offer we would get, we would let him go.
And obviously proved to be the case. I, for one, think he could have been a decent alternative to Doggy, but as I say, I do think he did struggle in pre-season with that inverted role. I don't know if he's quite good in those tight spaces, or as good as someone like Udogie charging up the pitch in the central area. He is quite good when he's out wide, but at the end of the day, I don't know if he was ever actually suited to Ange's system. But given time, maybe he could have got used to it. But I don't think he was a natural for it. It's fair to say. So I don't think we're missing him. But it would have been interesting to see him be back up to Udogie, and playing games where Udogie wasn't available. Because I actually think him instead of Davis could have worked.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree. I mean, I look at him and I agree with what you said kind of before that, saying I don't think that he would suit the system. I think he's okay in the wide spaces, but if you ask him to do that inverted role and do what Udogie does, I just don't think he's got it in him, to be honest. I prefer... You're looking at Ben Davis, whenever he's filled in that role, it's not been great. It's not been to the level of Udogie, but I think he's been competent there.
I think he's been all right at left centre-back. I don't think he's been great at left-back, to be honest.
He put in, what was where he played left-back a couple of weeks ago? Who was that against?
Wolves.
Against Wolves. I mean, it's not like he put in a terrible display.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't. That's what I'm saying. It's not great, but he's competent.
I feel like someone like Davis, when you're playing a fullback for Spurs, you're all naturally going to leave that space. And I'd kind of feel more comfortable if Reguilon is there chasing that space rather than Davis, because he's more likely to catch up with the player. I don't think either are natural.
Yeah,
but
that's the reality.
But I think I said in the summer, if I was given the choice, I'd rather give Reguilon a go, and I don't feel that differently now. But I don't think it's that big of a deal in terms of that. But obviously, I don't think he has a future here. Obviously, Brentford, he's doing really well. Brentford, good luck to him. I do think he moves on in the summer, and I really hope his good form for Brentford earns him a permanent move.
Yeah, I think they quite like him over there, to be honest. And I think with the form he's showing there, I do think they'll push the button and sign him in the summer, which will be good for us. Get some money in and get him out the door, and leave a space for someone else to come in. So that's the Reguilon situation. Jed Spence has been talking again, and he says, I want to play for Tottenham. I want to be a big part of the plan, but we've got to see how things go, have a discussion with the manager and everyone. It's a big difference with the new manager. I did pre-season with him. He's a good guy. He has good training sessions. He likes to play football. It's a new environment at the club, and I think everyone's enjoying it and doing well. I'm pleased for them. I don't think the Tottenham fans know me as a player. They've probably seen me from my Forest days, but I haven't played so much. They don't know what I'm capable of. The best is yet to come. Whether I can hit the ground running and show everyone what I'm capable of doing. And then he was talking about Conte, and he said, I didn't really have a relationship with him, to be honest. He's a coach that has his way. I don't think he has much of a relationship with his players. It's come to training and train, and that's pretty much it. In terms of Jed Spence, it's kind of the same story that follows him around in every loan spell that he does have. It's not the same situation at Tottenham because he never got on the pitch to really prove his worth. I, for one, was very excited when we signed Jed Spence, and I still think, like, if he can get to that act together, I think he could be an asset to Tottenham.
Yeah, I think so as well. It'll be interesting to see where we see him or where Ange sees him. Is it a right back or is it maybe on the right wing? I'll be interested to see, because I think in his one and only appearance in pre-season, I believe he came on off the bench against Barcelona. He played him at right wing. So I wonder whether that was because he just didn't trust him to be a right back at that point or whatnot. I wonder where we see him in the future, if he does have a future at Tottenham. It's interesting to hear him speak about he still believes he can play for Tottenham, and that's what he's focusing on. So I like to hear that. And I like to hear that he hasn't given up on his future here, because we know he's got quality, and if he can really knuckle down and show the management team that he has a place here, I think everyone's very open to having a player like him around. And obviously he helps with the homegrown quota as well, being English, and if he can really prove himself, he could be an asset. But it's, as you say, there's been a lot of kind of burnt bridges at the moment. There's a lot of soured loan deals and a lot of bad reports from managers who have managed him since he's signed for Tottenham. So that is obviously a massive concern, and that's something that he has to fix if he's ever going to have a future here. And at 23, he's not getting any younger. He's not like he's a teenager anymore. So it's not as if he's got years to prove himself. He has to do it very, very quickly, otherwise he's going to be out the door. So I hope from now to the end of the season he has a good end to the loan spell, but I think time's running out for him. I think it's fair to say. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. There is still time there for Jed Spence, but it definitely is running out. And in terms of where he fits in, I think he does probably fit in the right back, or maybe even the left back slot as well. I know he's played for Genoa in both roles at right back, left back, both inverting into the middle of the park as well, which is obviously the way we play. And if he can knuckle down and prove his worth to Tottenham, that can save us a lot of money, because it's no secret that we need to be in the market for a left back in terms of trying to fight Udogie for that spot. And we all know that Emerson probably isn't the right, I wouldn't say caliber, but best suited for the way that we want to play. So if we can replace an Emerson or have Jed Spence as the left back backup, I mean, I'd be more than happy with that if he could prove his worth. Yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about Pierre Hojbjerg. Fabrizio Romano just done an update, and he says Tottenham know at this point that it's either sell Hojbjerg this summer or lose him for free next summer. There are no negotiations over a new deal. There'll be conversations over a potential summer exit with possibilities around Europe, and it feels like this Hojbjerg situation just never progresses. It's always like the same update every time we bring it to you. But I feel like once the summer comes, the season's over, the ball will start to roll on this one.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that neither side, or especially Hojbjerg's side, does want to sign a contract, given how out of favour he has been for the majority of the season in terms of starting games. His age, he probably wants to be the main man in midfield for whatever team he plays in, and I think that isn't going to be Tottenham as long as we have managers like Ange Postecoglou here who focus on different facets of the game, which Hojbjerg maybe isn't so strong at. So I think when it comes to Hojbjerg, I think we will be parting ways with him in the summer. And I do think that makes sense. As much as I do think he's a good squad player, I do think you could get worse squad players than someone like a PM or Hojbjerg. I think it's more for Hojbjerg himself that I don't think he's going to be happy to be sitting the bench yet again next season. And we're going to want money in the summer, because I don't think we're going to want to let him leave on a free transfer. We can get a decent fee, maybe 15, 20 million, something like that in the summer for him. I think that would be a good deal. And I think that'll be a good deal for anyone who buys him. I think they're getting a good player as well. I just think for us, for Tottenham right now, he's not the right fit, and I don't think it's anything to do with him being a bad player. I just think that's sometimes when you're changing your philosophy, that means some players aren't going to be quite up to it, and Hojbjerg's one of those players.
Yeah, I think, look, he's been a great servant to the football club. Ever since he's come in, you know what you're going to get with Hojbjerg, and that's always going to be 100, if not more, percent in terms of his effort levels. I think he served a really good purpose from the time he's come here up until now. He's come in this season even, and in the system where he's not completely suited to, he's stepped in admirably well. And maybe the levels in terms of ability in this system is not always the greatest. I think he always gives 110%. So he's been a great servant to the club. We saw only last week he was pictured with his new agents, and that he's obviously gearing up for a summer move. So we'll see what happens. We see where he goes, but I still think he probably gets a good club like in Italy. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to like a Juventus or a club like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I do think there'll be some good clubs interested in him.
And last but not least, Spurs are interested in Dani Rodriguez of Barcelona. Sports say that Tottenham are serious over assigning Dani Rodriguez, Barcelona midfielder, ahead of the upcoming summer transfer window. Barcelona fear that the 18-year-old will be on his way to England when his contract expires in the summer. Hasn't played for Barcelona yet. He's a talent coming out of La Masia, and we all know the talent that they produce.
Of course, and obviously they've just lost Bergvall to us, so they're going to be even more worried that they're going to lose more talent. I can't profess to have been watching La Masia on a weekly basis. I don't know how good or how much potential this kid has. I've never heard of him, but from Barcelona's point of view, it could be even more talent slipping through their fingers, which would be really interesting.
Yeah, so from my understanding, he's predominantly a left winger, can play on the right, can play in the middle as well. Currently playing for the Spanish under-19 squad and for the Barcelona youth team in the UEFA Youth Champions League and all that. So, look, we'll see how this one progresses.
Sounds like one for the future to me.
Yeah, most definitely one for the future. But, you
never know with teenagers nowadays.
So it's like Spurs, like they're giving chances to Yamal at 16, so he's clearly not on that level yet. But at 18, you never know how players can progress, and Spurs seem to be trying to buy up all the really good young talent from around Europe at the moment. So trust in the process, as they say. And finally, let's talk about our captain Heung-min Son, as Sport Pete O says that Tottenham have open talks with Heung-min Son over a new contract and are confident it will be finalised this summer. Son is very happy at the club. And he looks happy, doesn't he? Captain, leader, talisman. He's unbelievable in all facets at the moment, and his leadership skills have not gone unnoticed. They've been nothing short of spectacular, to be honest. So I'm fully expecting that contract to be signed this summer, and it's exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this summer, about this contract, hasn't there, without anything being signed as of yet. But I definitely think he deserves it. I definitely think he deserves a pay rise, and I do wonder where it would take him to, this new contract. So obviously, would he be 32 in the summer? Is that I think that's when his birthday. I don't know when his birthday is, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be 32 come the start of next season. Am I right in saying that?
He's born in July, so his birthday. Yeah.
So come the start of next season, he'll be 32. So if he signs a new deal, let's say a 3-year deal, like that'll take him to 35 potentially. So that might be his last contract.
Last big contract,
Yeah, and then it'll go like, it'll probably be, if he wants to stay on, it'll probably be like yearly deals. Well, we've seen it with like, Modric. He's like at 30, he's still at Madrid.
35?
No, he's like 38.
Oh, is he 38?
Yeah, he's 38, yeah. But he's been, I think for the last like 3 years, he's been getting like just yearly extension. So I wouldn't put it past Tottenham keeping him on till, even his late 30s if he's keeping on performing. But yeah, he definitely deserves it. And he's still playing at a very, very high level. So no reason to not consider giving him a contract right now.
Yeah, I think he's the only elite player that we do have at this football club right now. And when you're looking at Sonny and the development throughout his career, are we starting to see maybe a development a bit like Obviously not to that level, but Cristiano Ronaldo, how he started his career on the left-hand side, moving centrally. It was around about this time of his career, wasn't it? And then became a deadly number 9.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Sonny's improving in all those facets of his game. Obviously, we know his finishing is so elite and he's so clinical when he gets in the box and opportunities to shoot. But what I really like about Sonny this season is his all-round game seems to be really developing. His ability to bring other players into play. He's getting a few assists from central areas. His passing seems to be really improving, or at least he's given more avenues to show it off. And that's like really, really great. So I think if he can keep developing in this way, there's no reason why he can't elongate his career a bit longer. And he as much as he's a player who is pacey, I think he's also a player who doesn't necessarily just rely on pace to be an effective player. So, and I think we're seeing that now from Sonny.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. So I do fully expect this to happen in the summer, and I think it will be good for all parties. And Son has been so loyal to us throughout the years, and he signed that contract under, when we were in our darkest times, probably his darkest time as a Spurs player as well, in terms of under Nuno, maybe not from his personal performance, but from where the club was at. So Sonny deserves it, and it'll be great to have him around for even longer, the captain of the club.
I think he's on 200 grand a week. So where do you reckon he gets to 3?
I reckon he goes up to around 250, yeah.
Knowing Spurs will be 250, but
250 with bonuses, with heavy bonuses.
Yeah, pretty makes sense.
But that is it from us today. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.